Welcome back everyone to this week's Gran Turismo Sport video, manufacturer series. Um, Here we go. I apologize the pronunciation to Tsukuba circuit, I believe, in Japan. Oh. But interesting week. If you saw my previous video, we got our first win this week in the daily races at Monza, which was awesome. But what you did not see is some other races later in the weekend that just went a disaster and killed my sportsmanship rating, which went all the way down. It went as low as a D, but I got it back up to a C right before this race started. So we're kind of in a CC split here with these other drivers, which is interesting because that does not mean that we have the cleanest batch of drivers here to run with, but we're going to make the best of it and try to make it last and just try to let them all run each other over and run each other off the track, and we're going to take advantage of it. So coming up will be us qualifying 7th in our big, dumb, ugly Peugeot that I mistakenly picked. Didn't know that I couldn't use the other one. So we're stuck with that one for the Group 3 races, but we'll make it work. I think 3 more races in that car before the exhibition series is over, so we'll just make it work. I definitely think the RCZ Group 3 car would have been better for this track with the tight turns, but you know, we gotta make it work and see what we can do. Me and that guy have quite the battle. If you'll notice the run time, I actually just upload the entire race because for the most part, it's pretty eventful. Just about the entire race, I'm either chasing somebody down or being chased by somebody. There wasn't like a ton of time where I was just running out there by myself, nothing going on, where we could, skip ahead. That guy right there was a big giant a-hole. In qualifying, he was like legit running people off the track, and then in the lobby was kind of like being a troll about it. So I was glad that he's all the way in the back, and hopefully I never have to see him. I don't know if any trouble actually came, but here we go to start the race. Not a bad place to start here in the turn, not like in the middle of a chicane or something. But very tight track, 37 laps, which is a lot of laps, but a lap goes pretty quick here. It's a pretty short track, but not really any straights. I mean, I barely get this thing out of third gear. There's only a few spots where I hit fourth gear, momentarily. As that Corvette goes right to start. You can kind of see me moving around, just trying to get some heat in the tires because they were pretty slick to start off, and a few people go running off quite regularly. So we're up to P6. Like I said, um, being C-class drivers, for all I know, they're all like me and are usually around S, but because Monza was a daily race, maybe everybody, was having problems like I was. But I also just have to assume that they're all, short-tempered or, dirty or just, are willing to beat and bang. So I'm kind of going to be pretty careful and conservative and just let everybody else make mistakes. 37 laps is a lot of laps around here and a lot of turns to not make a mistake. So I'm just going to run my race. I was pretty quick. I was only about 4 or 5 seconds, I think 3 or 4 seconds off the top 10 times, which I know it's a short track, so it probably would have been longer on a longer track. But yeah, I was decently quick. This turn here, I think, was one that I never really got right in all my practicing throughout the week. I seemed to always lose a little bit of time there. Sometimes it would be okay, but most of the time, not so much. We get real close on the Porsche there. Don't hit him, though. Trying to save that SR rating. We're going to go around him on the outside. Nice clean pass. I was making up a lot of ground on this turn, though, because I could brake really late. I think a lot of people that were following the cones there were braking way sooner than I was, so I was making a lot of ground up there. And I just go a little crazy there. I'm not entirely sure what happened. I don't know if the cones got taken out and I just overshot it or what, but... Or I may got bumped. I know I got bumped a few times. Nothing like terribly egregious, but like I said, it was C-class drivers, so there was definitely some beating and banging going on. Especially on a tight course where there's not a ton of spots to overtake. Um, it's pretty cramped. The only way to pass is either to kind of nudge your way in or wait till somebody just goes way wide. Like the Corvette there, which did not like me trying to pass him after he went wide. So he turns back into me. He don't get penalized. I don't see how that works, but I somehow get like a little SR drop there. But whatever, could have been worse. We didn't go spinning around. We still got 34 laps. Still early. Here we go again. That was probably about as good as I took that turn. And that one, again, not quite sure what happened there. I don't seem too worried about it though, down in the lower corner. Just kind of like, yep, that's what happens. Got a little bit of ground to make up here while I'm doing that. Let you guys know, cool little thing that happened, tell you about how stupid I am. So I've been using the steering wheel here now for probably about a month, maybe about a month and a half, I'm not entirely sure. And I always kind of thought there was probably a way to fine tune it. I went through like the little G menu and went to where you can map the buttons, but there wasn't any settings there. So I thought, well, maybe there's not for like, console. Maybe it's just on PC where you can really fine tune the settings. As there, whoa, phase right through that Porsche there and getting a spot, and I figured, at the very least, it's probably just like a default setting. So typically, I don't really tinker too much; just leave it at default. Well, I finally found out that in the options menu, when you go to the control, like to the, what your stability control settings, you go into advanced. You can adjust your torque sensitivity and other things like that, and they were set to a 5. Which is like really high because I looked at a few like what settings they should be, and a lot of guys had them at 1. So I was running a very very stiff, a lot of feedback on my wheel. So I dialed it down to actually even to a 2 because 1 was like nothing. So running a 2 and a 1, and almost immediately I went out and practiced on this track, and I was like a second and a half quicker just because the car was turning much more freely, and I wasn't having near as much, resistance. And the resistance I did get, I could actually feel. So like, instead of just a constant resistance, it was more accurate to what was actually going on. So pretty cool revelation right before this race started. So that was nice. But yep, I'm an idiot. But hopefully, we learn new things. And each time you do, it's like a new window is opened up of possibilities. So feel free to mock me in the comments. And as you can see, I mean, we're right up on 9 through all the way to like 6. Like I said, I think because of the short track and all the tight turns, I mean, there wasn't a lot of distance. I was very rarely was I needing to run with either nobody right behind me or nobody right in front of me. So it's a pretty exciting race. 37 laps of almost constant going as the donut Mustang there turns into me, and I'm gonna, he went wide and the opening was there. I don't think I didn't dive bomb. I went to the inside, and then he decided halfway through to come down into me, and then he broke like really hard right in the middle of that turn. He kind of brakes early here too, so the guy's a little heavy on the braking. At this point, he's gonna try to get around. I mean, I'm right to that spot. I didn't lose any SR or get penalized, so he goes drifting through the turn. I get turned around by this Lexus. He gets a penalty. Me and that guy get into it for a while. Nothing really crazy. We actually raced each other pretty well, but that time he did turn me around. And not quite enough to catch him. We're going to get right up on him before the turn from his serving that penalty for taking us out. And we're just going to chip away at this guy. Talk a little bit about our strategy for this race. Medium and hard tires are required. There's a few different strategies. Some of them being a 3-stop, which essentially would mean running soft tires the first 2 stints, going to medium, and then your hard right before the end. I decided to go with just a 2-stop. I would start on softs, switch to mediums at about lap 14 through 16, depending on what was going on and how what the lap times were anytime in there. Run mediums all the way to like the very last few laps, and depending on if I was lapped or not or whatever, come in and get my hard tires and finish out on that. The main reason for that is I get for like the top guys staying on those softs as much as possible. They're much quicker on them than when they go down to a medium tire, so the length of time to go to a pit stop is less than those laps of getting a run on softs. For me, my lap times on soft and medium aren't terribly different. I think my actually fastest lap of the race by the time we're done here is going to be on a medium tire. So for me, the amount of time of needing to go in for another pit stop just to stay on some soft tires for a little bit longer didn't make sense. Plus, I was hoping that there would be a lot of people that go and watch, like, Mr. MCA and get like track or guides that are kind of like me, that are going to see, oh yeah, all the fast guys are doing a 3-stop strategy, so I'm going to do that. When in reality, they're not as fast as the top guy, so they're kind of in my boat where doing 3 stops doesn't make much sense. So I was hoping that if I went 2 and could survive out there on the tires, then I'd gain some spots. And I think you'll see that my strategy kind of works out. It almost really works out, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So we're up under a second now on this Lexus. Getting down to the end on our soft tires. We're getting ready to start lap 12. Like I said, most guys, anywhere now really between lap 12 to lap like 14 or 15, we're starting to go. Just put a little bit of pressure. Again, seeing if we can get this guy to make a mistake since there's not a lot of places to pass. He goes a little bit wide there, but not quite enough for us to really take advantage of it. And then we're going into our section. That was the problem. He kind of went wide on that turn just about every single time, but the problem with it was the turn after that was the turn that I wasn't very good, so I never really got a chance to properly capitalize on it. But you can kind of see now as people are starting to pit, we're picking up spots, just racing around with this guy, based surely on just people pitting. I ran some test races, and in those lobbies, I was still pretty stable at around 14 laps. So unless I spun out or had like a tons of issues, I really felt like I could push those soft tires to around 15 or 16 laps. When other guys were coming in at around like 12 or 13 laps. And we actually do a pretty good run here. Me and this guy just chasing each other, not battling necessarily like side by side and slowing each other down, really just pushing each other. We actually pick up a lot of time and catch up on the grip in front of us just from pushing each other, which was nice. You see we just picked up a spot in the pits with the P8. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the camera down in the lower corner. I didn't really think about it at the time. I thought it would be nice just to shoot back that way. But I'm not sure I like how the steering wheel works because it's opposite of what's happening on the screens. You're looking at it from behind. I don't know. It's just kind of weird for me. Let me know what you guys think, if it bothers you or you're kind of expecting that or what. Right up on his end. Just make a mistake. And again, kind of disadvantaged in this Peugeot, which has a lot of top end. Although, you know, I did come in at lap 14. I've been thinking of one of my test races where I made it to like 16. I think at this point what I thought was I'll undercut that guy. That's right. That was the thought process. I was going to go to lap 16, and then it seemed like I wasn't able to actually catch that guy on the track, but I was getting close enough that I thought I'd undercut him and come in now, and hopefully, yeah, like I said, undercut him, so when he comes in, I'll pass him on the track. Which does work, as you will see in a little bit. So coming out of the pits, we are on our medium tires now. We're going to run these, I think, till up around like 34, 35. At this point, I don't want a repeat of what happened last week where, if you watched, I was well aware that I was lapped, and I knew I had to come in before the last lap, and I still just brain farted and didn't do it, and got the minute penalty. So my plan is, you know, a short track like this, I don't know what's going to happen with being lapped, so I'm planning on just coming in like 34. Just to be safe. I think I can go out there, do a few laps on a hard tire, and I'll be okay. But now we are running down this Audi R8 in 10th. And this is probably the biggest lull in the video here, so if you want to skip ahead you can, but mainly trying to catch this Audi here in 10th. Make a pretty big run on him here, right on his rear bumper. A good sign when they start getting in the grass and start darting all over, you know you're getting to them. Although this guy was like glitching a little bit. You can see his signal bars over there in the yellow, which is really hard to race somebody when they're darting all over, glitching in and out, back and forth. You know, you're not sure if that's their actual position or if it's closer. So you kind of just have to pick your spots. And you can see we actually move up a spot in the 10th, gain a spot in the pits. Make a dive on the inside, he closes it off. Like I said, I think I had the room there, and just kind of beats me in the straight there. Just like I said, this Peugeot is mainly top end. It doesn't do much on the low end, which is not great on this track where you don't really get a lot of chance to even really rev it out. So, not the quickest car. There you go. Just waited for him to make that big mistake. He went wide. We're going to make the pass. He's kind of hanging around though. We got another car right behind us. Gives us a little nudge. You can see down the radar down there, they're right on me. It's the that iridescent Lexus. If you remember when we pitted and we were going to try to undercut, it worked because we came out ahead of him. But he is right on our bumper now. If you're not familiar with what an undercut is, it's where you pit behind someone and essentially get fresher tires. And you're banking on you're gaining enough time while you're out there on fresh tires that when they pit in a lap or 2 or 3 or whatever, your pace is quicker and you pass them in the pits, so you essentially gain a position. Which worked, but now he's right up on us. And he kind of gets the inside of me there. I'm not going to fight him on it. I went a little bit too wide there. And I'm not a dirty driver, so I try to get it back here. He squeezes me a little bit. And the Mazda there spins out, has an accident, so we get it positioned up there. Now we're up to 8th. So our strategy seems to be working. I mean, we were around, what, 11, 12, 11. Now we're up, like, battling 7th and 8th. So, and that's mainly based on strategy. You know, not doing a ton of stuff. Just trying to run consistent laps, let everybody make mistakes, and trusting our theory about tire strategy. We get a nice little run coming out of this turn, but again, just not fast enough in the straights to really pull and gain on anybody. Even slipstream doesn't really factor in much here. And like I said, this car is mainly quick in the top end. It did pretty well at the Dragon Tail where it could really get out and wind it up. But there's just not enough space here to really take advantage of it. I really would have liked to have had the RCZ. But like I said, when I signed the contract to drive for Peugeot for this season, they give you the choice of which contract car you want to take, and I had already purchased the Group 3 RCZ, so I was like, oh, I'll just take the Vision car, and I got them both, you know, maybe it'll come in handy. Well, it turns out you only can use those cars, the 2 cars that you're contracted for, even if you own the other one. So I got locked out of using the RCZ, so I have to use this one for the Group 3 races. And there it goes. The Lexus goes wide. I just avoid him, which is a huge gain there. Knowing what we know about the penalty system, even though he went off and came back onto the track, if he would have broadsided me or even clipped my back end, I likely would have got a 3 or 4 second penalty. So avoiding him there was a pretty huge move. So we're up into P7. We got a little bit of ways to go to try to get to 6. But at the same time, I'm guessing that guy behind me is probably going to... he's about as fast, probably a little bit faster than us on pace, so he's probably going to make up ground and get up on us. So we're just going to lower our head and push on and see if we can get some quality laps in. Quick peek behind. I guess it's crazy that when I'm driving and I hit that, it's long enough for me to get an idea of what's going on. But when I'm watching it back, it's like, how was that even long enough for me to see what's going on? But, you know, that guy is, like I said, he's made a pretty... It's crazy. Like, when he would pass me, he couldn't get away from me. We would stay close the entire time. I mean, you saw us just neck and neck. But whenever I would get in front of him, he would close the gap so fast. It's weird that, like, he could close the gap and get on me and pass me so quickly, but then couldn't get away from me. It was weird, but you know, he's right on our tail again. Probably got about 10 more laps on these tires. before we come in and get our ending hards. I am looking at actually running the Nations Cup this week, since they are doing just the Manufacturer Series 1 a week, not doing 2 a week. I was just doing last season, I just did the Manufacturers because it was 2 a week. I don't have all the cars that are in the Nations Cup, and some of them are, I'll burn through my money pretty quick, so I just thought I would dedicate myself and just do focus on the manufacturers. But with it not only being 1 a week, and I'm getting more comfortable with the tracks, I don't need to devote my entire week to practice. I may actually try to look at doing the Nations Cup this week. I haven't actually looked at what it is. I'll probably take a look at it tomorrow and see what's going on. But so we've put a little bit of ground on the Lexus behind us. As you can see, we just a few laps ago, like I said, did our fastest lap on the medium tire. So like I said, I wasn't so much faster on softs that it would warrant me running that, doing a 3-stop. So maybe someday, hopefully someday I can get so fast that it's 2 or 3 second lap difference to where it'd be dumb not to do it. But right now, it just wasn't worth it. We are gaining on the guys in front of us. Some lap cars, but also the pack. Here comes that pesky Lexus again. You can see here in 14th is the maniac who was taking everybody out in qualifying. Think our lucky stars that he's ghosted when we're lapping him. I don't need to worry about it. He is 14th though, so either a lot of people dropped out or were wrecking, or I suppose this guy could have wrecked him, or he was just goofing off in qualifying and is actually going to run the race like regular. I don't know. And here comes our buddy in the Lexus. Gives us a little bump, which actually kind of helps us and pushes us through the turn that we're worst in a little bit quicker. And look at that. He gets a huge run in that straight. And like I said, I think it's just my car's not built for this kind of track. That's kind of the fun of the Manufacturer Series, is what sets it apart from the Nations Cup, where you get a lot of same makes and things like that, is you pick your car and you either pick a well-rounded vehicle or you pick ones that are really good in these races and bad in the others, and you just kind of play the law of averages. That's kind of the fun part of it. You get a track like this and you got to make it work. Go a little bit wide, not too bad, but again, right up on us. Look at that, 6th place spins out, so we move up into 6th. Like I said, just be consistent and let everybody else make mistakes. I'm pretty sure my number plate in this race was 6, so we're right at where our number plate was at this moment. I'm I'm pretty sure I'll have to go back and look. I think Brands Hatch, we got either a 7th or an 8th. I think that's the best we've done in an FIA race, if I'm not mistaken. I need to go back and look. I kind of forget already. After we got some podiums and won some races and some dailies, I've kind of forgotten what my best finish was in an FIA race. Still, the Lexus glue door bumper. Me and that guy probably should have exchanged phone numbers after this race. We spent so much time together. We just mess it up a little bit there. He gets around us. No one to blame but ourselves, but let's put our heads back down and see if he'll make a mistake here in the last 6 laps. And you're going to see here in a little bit, that little move there is going to end up costing us pretty big. I'm not super worried about now because I'm right here around, but you'll see. Just peeking behind to see where the first place is. I know that I'll be ghosted and they can go right through me, but I'll still try to be a little bit courteous when they come around, especially if they're actually racing. The other thing too I'm thinking about is if I get lapped, I gotta know that I gotta get those hards on before the race ends. Up to start lap 33. Gotta start thinking about when I'm gonna come in. Tire's starting to slip a little bit here. I can start just to feel I gotta start braking a little bit sooner, kind of braking at the cones instead of pushing it because tires are just starting to showing their age a little bit. Kind of a tough spot here. I mean, I want to let the first place car go by. As you can see, I get over, start to pit here. I'm going to try to go for the undercut again. Throwing them hard tires, and off we go. A few more laps, see what we can do. So at this point too, my thought process is again not to overclassify or stereotype people, but we got CC drivers. When the lobby loaded in, I'd say probably about 80% of the guys didn't have any points. So saying this is their first race. For all I know, it's the first time they've ever done an FIA race. So I'm thinking that there's probably going to be a lot of guys that get caught not doing the right tires that are either going to get the 1 minute penalty, A, because they didn't know any better, or B, they kind of like us last week, even though we knew it was going to happen, get caught out there. We're going to plan on coming on the last lap, and because they get lapped, get messed up. So at this point, I'm running out here just trying to go as fast as possible, thinking that possibly will jump a few positions when the race ends because of people getting penalized. And you can see the leader, this is significant, the leader just came in and put on medium tires, so I'm not sure when he ran his hards, but he's coming in to get mediums. And we're going to come across and run a 56.1, which is actually was exactly the same as our last lap on our medium tires. So this is significant here. The first place car, we're right behind them. We didn't get the spot back, we're still a lap down. And I didn't really push it to try to pass them, but I really wish I should have, because you'll see why once the race ends. So we are the first car a lap down. And which unfortunately means what we learned this week is you don't take advantage of the 1 minute penalties of people that got caught with their own tires. If you're a lap down, you have to be on the same lap as them to move the position. So because we didn't pass them, 2 people actually, you're going to see, get the 1 minute penalty. So if we had passed the leader there and been on the lead lap, we would have finished 5th. And you can see the Lexus there, in the 6th place that we battled the entire race. He was the last car in the lead lap, so he actually jumps up to 5th. So not horrible. 7th, which I still think, like I said, I'm pretty sure I'll have to look at the records, is our best finish in an FIA race. We get 14 points. But what could have been? One, if I wouldn't have kind of spun out and lost that spot to the Lexus, I may have possibly finished ahead of him and could have stayed on the lead lap. So you can see there, he moved up into 5th, or actually 4th. He got 4th. And 5th and 6th got the 1 minute penalties. So we kind of messed ourselves up there. You know, little things, little seconds here and there, but not too bad, not too shabby. Like I said, I'm looking at maybe doing the Nations Cup this week in addition to the manufacturers on Saturday. But all in all, it was a fun race. It went pretty well. We got a good finish and got some points. And best of that, we also got out of the C SR rating. We're actually back up to S. So thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.